Hey guys, so not much has changed since my last video. You can see on the monthly time frame, Bitcoin is still holding above that cycle 50% level at $70,824. You can see on the weekly time frame, again, not much has changed. The BX trender is still light green and the weekly swing direction is still up. On the daily time frame, you can see we are consolidating above this diagonal downtrend line, which was our failed fourth or fifth time breakdown, however you want to look at it. And we managed to get back above it, which is really nice. We've seen 3 consecutive daily closes above the 50-day TMA, which is one of my favorite long continuation signals. You can see it happened back here on the 12th of March. We got 1, 2, 3, and that third day was kind of a bit of a down day. That fourth day was an inside. It was an up bar, but it was still inside the range of the big bullish breakout bar. And obviously on that on the 5th and 6th day, we pushed to higher prices. So if we were to see something very similar happen to that, we get 1, 2, 3, where that third day resets the swing direction. The 4th day is inside the range of the breakout bar, and that 5th and 6th day potentially push up. That would line up very well with Trump, Iran, Israel, whatever, the big peace talk happening in Pakistan, I think, this weekend, because Sunday my time would be Saturday their time, potentially, something like that. So potentially they're gonna, declare peace or whatever. That's gonna shoot the market up, and we'll just have to reevaluate based on what the close of that bar does. If it has a really weak close and the next day capitulates back underneath the trend line in the 50-day TMA, well, we could very well have seen a top in terms of this range, and we could be getting ready to break into the 50K range. Now, you can see the daily BX trender is now 6 days green. You can see back here, when we saw 6 days green, it typically led to a bit of a consolidation before one final push, and that's pretty much it on the daily time frame. Obviously, we got the point of control at 70,754, which lines up very close to that macro 50% level at 70,824. And on the 4-hour time frame, you can see we've put in a bit of a double top and double bottom. But my theory for sideways wave 4 off the back of a sharp sell-off on wave 2 has so far held true. And obviously that wave 1 peak is just below where our current wave 4 low is. So the Elliott wave structure is still suggesting one more leg up. You can see if we do manage to turn the swing direction up tonight, because it's already 8 p.m. my time. So in the US Friday market session, it'll be daytime there and the market will open in 3 hours. If that manages to turn the swing direction up, we will probably confirm a bullish divergence on the stochastic RSI. You can see we're making a lower low on the oscillator, whilst price is currently forming a higher low. And obviously, I have been talking about price coming up to that 2x standard deviation band before we see a strong reversal. And obviously, the longer we manage to grind between this fair value and the 1x deviation band in a bit of like an upwards grinding support resistance lines, if we manage to hold this for maybe another day or two, this 2x standard deviation band might come up to around the 77-78K region, where it is very close to my 77 to 80K target for the next leg up. On the 1-hour time frame, there's really not much to talk about. You can see we've managed to hold this 1-hour fair value band as support since we broke back above it on Wednesday morning my time or Tuesday night American time, when Trump and Iran came to an agreement. Obviously, the 15-minute time frame, I have not been doing Elliott wave or anything like that on it, but you can see we're pretty much grinding between the -1 and +1 standard deviation bands, which is pretty normal in a consolidation as the market tries to decide which way it's going to go. In the USDT dominance, you can see we are holding support. So being the fair value band, it is possible that we retest the underside of the fair value band at around 6.7, 6.8%, which would correlate with one final pump up on Bitcoin and cryptos before we zoom off to, 10, 11, 13%, where I believe we will potentially see a cycle top for USDT dominance and a low for Bitcoin and cryptos. On the daily time frame, the USDT dominance is long still on the THT combined signal system. However, we are consolidating underneath the 50-day TMA, which suggests, if you have a look at what happened previously, that we will see potentially another move down that lasts a couple of days before we promptly reverse back to the upside. You can see the oscillators are pretty oversold as well, but obviously the market can stay oversold for longer than people expect. So, another leg up on USDT dominance is possible. Looking at the DXY, the US dollar index is holding support, the weekly fair value band. The BX trender is still light green. I'm overlaying, I think, the monthly there. Yep. So obviously there is still buying pressure on the US dollar, which if you look at the crude oil futures contract, it's still holding above $90. So Big Money reckons that even if we do get a short-lived dump in the US dollar or short-term dump in oil, pump in cryptos, whatever, Bitcoin, that we will probably still resolve to the upside for the US dollar and the downside for Bitcoin, crypto, and stocks. Now, I'm going to show you this chart here. This was my just my bare Wyckoff chart on the 8-hour time frame, just obviously price action and volume. I ran that through ChatGPT and it reckons it is reaccumulation, and it is very happy with where we are now. And obviously you can pause the video or slow down a 0.5, 0.25 time. And you can see what we're basically watching for is we don't want a strong rejection from 72, 73K, and we want a clean break. And as I've been saying, and Michael has been saying on his YouTube channel, we're looking for a clean break above 72 to 74K with a daily higher low above 72K ideally. And I'm just going to finish scrolling through here. You can pause the video and have a read yourself. Or you can obviously take your own screenshot and run it through ChatGPT. I obviously do have the paid subscription, so I'm not entirely sure if you'll get the same answers as me. Speaking of Michael Pizzino, make sure to go check out his video today. His 10-minute video today is actually awesome. And also go have a look at Peter DiCarlo's video. He's obviously expecting a bit of a bounce here, but obviously he says there is a chance that we do go lower. And obviously it's only 4 minutes long, so make sure you go and watch it. He's obviously sold AMD as well, and we're still expecting a rejection on the S&P 500 as we're rallying into a bearish smart money zone. And pretty much, yeah, same with Amazon. It's rallying into resistance. Now, if I pull up the S&P 500 quickly, if I can actually use my keyboard properly, you can see on the daily time frame, we have gone through the +1 standard deviation band. So potentially we rally all the way up to probably the 2x standard deviation band is sitting at all-time highs, which obviously, depending on what craziness happens this weekend, could happen. We could go all the way through to all-time highs. But what is very likely to happen is if we draw a fib retracement from the S&P 500 all-time high of 7,017 down to this low, you can see we've got that bearish smart money zone. If I line this up with 63.18, that's close enough. We do have this bearish smart money zone at just under 6,900 points. So any rejection from there, and I would definitely expect lower prices of 6,000 to 6,200 points. My analysis has still not changed in that regard. If I jump over to CoinGlass and I refresh that, you can see we have seen a lot of late longs get piling in the last day or so. the hyperliquid heat map has still not changed. We still have that massive liquidation cluster at $78,246, which I obviously do believe, a push into that 77, 78, 79, 80K region is very likely to happen based on the charts right now. And if I do zoom out a little bit, you can see we have heaps and heaps of longs piling in. So price is likely to snap down, but that definitely doesn't rule out one final push to suck in even more longs. And I do believe that is what's going to happen based on the liquidation charts. You can see we've seen over $400 million of short liquidations on the 7th of April, which throughout this trading range has marked pretty much major tops. Like when you've seen that liquidation number get over 400 million, the market's pretty much rolled over the next day, started forming lower highs, and then seeing a pretty big sell-off. But in this case, price is still holding very steady, and that long-short ratio has balanced itself back out, which leads me to believe that the preceding trend, which is obviously up, is going to continue at least for another 24 to 48, maybe 72 hours. And you can see volume is still holding pretty okay. Like, this isn't quite a low volume rally just yet. Jumping over to the liquidation max pain, you can see we still have 75K, which is closer than 66K now. So I do believe if we manage to cut through 75K, it'll probably update to, maybe 77, 78, 80K. And what will likely happen is we'll fall just short of that new target, and then we'll come down and snap this target on the opposite side. Now, on the 2-week time frame, you can see we have just missed the short max pain in this last move up. I believe that was 73.1. Yeah, so we've just missed it, which increases the chance that we'll hit the long max pain, which I'm sure if you are bullish on Bitcoin, you really don't want to see price come back down there. What was it, 75.4? Because that would pretty much be that would invalidate this Elliott wave count. We'd be back underneath 4-hour fair value. We'd be underneath the -1 standard deviation, and we'd be potentially retesting this trend line. All in all, I do believe that this 1-month time frame holds more weight than the 2-week time frame, but our failure to hold that to hit that 73.3 short max pain probably just means we need to consolidate a little bit more before we take off, and that is exactly what I suggested on the daily analysis. So all in all, I am still bullish. I am watching for any breakdowns of this trend line, and obviously we're just going to have to brace for the volatility this weekend when the peace talks happen. So if you are on high leverage, or you've got a position that is probably too big for your portfolio size, make sure you manage your risk however you want to. But that is pretty much it from me today. Thank you all for watching, and I'll catch you guys next time.